Hello again, this is Mike and I'm a Sports History Collector. Today is Athletes at War, Volume 26 for World War II, and also The Pride of Alhambra High, Volume 1, both featuring baseballs and the Army Air Corps' Max West. Now, The Pride of Alhambra High is a new series I'm starting, and what I was planning on doing is if I was already going to do like an Athletes at War for a particular player, then I would just mash the two together because that made the most sense. But there's some that did not serve in the war, so they're going to be separate episodes. So, and also I wanted to do Max West for this Veterans Day, November 11th, 2025, because I had a personal connection to Max. And if you stick around towards the end, I'll be showing you some close-ups of some memorabilia I have, and also a story about Max and what he meant to me. Max Edward West was born on November 28th, 1916 in Dexter, Missouri, although he grew up in Alhambra, California, and graduated from Alhambra High in 1934. He signed as an outfielder with Sacramento of the Pacific Coast League in 1935 and joined Mission of the same league the following year. After batting .330 with 16 home runs and 95 RBIs for Mission in 1937, West's contract was purchased by the Boston Braves. He batted .234 his rookie year, but increased his average to .285 in 1939 with 19 home runs and 82 RBIs. Max West was the starting right fielder in the 1940 All-Star game and had a 3-run home run in the first inning, which powered the National League past the American League. The home run, by the way, was against Red Ruffing, future Hall of Famer Red Ruffing of the Yankees. He entered military service with the Army Air Force on March 26, 1943. He served with the 6th Ferrying Group Air Transport Command at Long Beach, California, where he regularly played baseball with Red Ruffing. In 1945, Corporal West was in the Pacific playing for Lou Riggs' 313th Bombardment Wing Flyers. The Flyers were based at Northfield, Tinian, and played round-robin competitions against Bernie Tibbetts' 58th Bomb Wing and Buster Mills' 73rd Bomb Wing. The team was constantly traveling. God, we traveled all the time, West explained. We'd go and come into an island, we didn't even know where the hell we were. So we'd get in line and say that we had flight fatigue and get a shot of whiskey. That's my kind of medicine. Despite all the island hopping, playing baseball, it should be remembered that the players were still expected to perform their military duties as members of the Army Air Force. The problem is, West explained, we had a job to do as flight grounds crewmen, and the other problem was they'd tell us about 9 o'clock at night and say, you're leaving at 6 in the morning for wherever. We didn't know if we were playing baseball or getting reassigned to a new squadron. West worked on the grounds crew with the 313th Bombardment Wing. I saw some horrific crashes, and we on the grounds crew would have to go in and, in all honesty, mop up the human carnage. One time I went in to help, we pulled out this pilot. I don't remember his name, but he had just flown us into Saipan for a ball game a few days before. We pulled him out and got him on the stretcher. He was burned pretty badly, and all I saw were his eyes. They were so white, and he looked right at me. His lips kind of smiled, and he just died. His face just went blank. In April 1946, after returning for military service, West was traded to the Cincinnati Reds for Jim Constanti. He played just 73 games that year and batted a lowly .212. He was with San Diego, the Pacific Coast League, in 1947, returning to Pittsburgh in 1948, where he batted just .178 in 87 games, and returned to San Diego the following year. West led the Pacific Coast League in home runs on 3 occasions, and in 1949, he hit 48 home runs with 166 RBIs. He continued playing in the PCL until 1954. Max West, we thank you for your service. All told, Max played parts of 7 seasons for the major leagues and parts of 10 seasons for the PCL, or Pacific Coast League, and retired from the Pacific Coast League in 1954. Um, I made mention, and I didn't realize this to actually right now, that Max was the only member of the ones I'm going to be talking about that graduated from Alhambra High that was not associated with a Sports Hall of Fame. And I want to correct that right now. He actually, I just found out, was inducted into Pacific Coast League Hall of Fame, Pacific Coast League Baseball Hall of Fame. So that's pretty cool. So he would, like I said, he retired in 1954. He went back home to Alhambra, California, where he opened up a sporting goods store on Main Street, um, along with his partner Ralph Kiner, Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner, who also had graduated from Alhambra High and who had played with Max briefly at Pittsburgh. Anyway, somewhere in the late 50s or early 60s, Max bought out Ralph Kiner from the store, and it just became Max West Sporting Goods, which is where I learned about it when I was a kid growing up in Alhambra. I remember as a kid, it seemed like Max West Sporting Goods was huge. This would have been about 1970. I was 10 years old. I had been in there a few times prior, but this was one of the first times I'd ever been in there by myself. I rode my bike down there and um, went in to look for a bat. This was my second year of Little League, and I wanted something that I could use for batting practice and in games. I had prior used team bats, what they provided from the league, and I hit pretty good with them, but I just wanted something that was my own. And the store was not huge. Oh, it was huge to a 10-year-old, but it was probably about 20 to 25 feet long and about 18 to 20 feet wide. A lot of racks of all kinds of sporting good clothes and sporting goods and stuff on the walls and whatnot. But the racks were so close, you had to be careful walking between them. But I did not find a bat. And then this older gentleman with gray hair came over and asked what I was looking for. And I told him a bat, and he said, "Oh, a bat, yes. You want something that fits you to swing. You want to be careful when you pick out a bat." So he walked me back to the very back of the store. There was an open doorway, and you went through the doorway, and there was like some storage area, but there was another open doorway on the side to another room. And this room was as big as, it was probably as big as the Coliseum. I mean, it was as big as any football stadium you'd ever seen. Well, not really, but to a 10-year-old kid, it sure looked like it. All bats. There was bat rack all along the side of the wall, the back of the wall, the front of the wall, and on the sides there were like, well, sides and front and back were like two rows, one above and one below, all bats. Every size, from pro models to little league bats to everything. So he explained to me what I was looking for, what I needed to look for, what felt comfortable on the handles. Some handles were a little, slimmer, a little thicker. Some bats were a little heavier at the end. Some were more balanced, depending on what kind of hitter I was. And so he showed me a few bats, and I swung a few, and I explained why I liked it or why I didn't like it. We came upon this beautiful bat, little league bat, and I ended up using that bat for 2 seasons, my last 2 seasons of little league, and ended up hitting 600 and plus for both seasons, and I love that bat. I wish I still had it. I don't know what I did to it, but probably got lost in a move somewhere. Never did crack, and those things he instilled in me about how to pick out a bat went even further from baseball. It didn't just apply to wood bats. It applied to metal bats, aluminum bats, when I played softball. And I always was very careful about picking out bats, and I always did real well because I had a bat that I felt comfortable with and was well balanced. So that was my first time that I met Max West, and I met him several other times in the store. He was always very kind and very nice. And Max passed away in 2003. Although his shop was in Alhambra, he lived in Sierra Madre, California, and he was just a real nice man. And I moved away from Alhambra in '83, then moved down to San Diego, and I still think of those times very fondly, and I think of him very fondly. Um, anyway, uh, let me show you some of the things I have in my collection from Max West. And first off, in the middle front of the screen, we have a 1941 double play card featuring Max West, and the other photo is of Carvel Bama Roll. You may remember him, or may not remember him. They took a portion of his career, or an incident in his career, and put it into the Natural story, where Roy Hobbs hits a long home run and it breaks the clock face out in the center field. Bama Roll actually did that, and it was used as part of the Roy Hobbs character. Back in the back, on both sides of the card, there are photos, Type 1 photos, both of them, of Max West and Bama Roll. And these photos were used for the double play card. Also in the back is a 1941 play ball, signed beautifully in blue ink by Max West. That's probably my I can't think of another one. I think it's probably my oldest signed card. One of my all-time favorite cards. It's a really nice shape, beautiful signature. And also in front there on the left is a Heilbronner card. If you're not very familiar with those, these were 3x5 cards that were sent out and compiled by the Louis Heilbronner Baseball Bureau, and they served as historical records for the Baseball Encyclopedia. They were sent out by the Bureau to the players on every professional team from 1910 through the 1980s for inclusion to the Baseball Encyclopedia. Most of the cards are handwritten by the respective players and sometimes signed, which has been a source of many very hard to find autographs, which is pretty cool. They also include information such as their addresses, dates of birth, high schools they attended. On the back, which you'll see on the close-ups later at the end, they a lot of times wrote the different teams they played on and which year. So they would update them every year. And it's just as a historical record. And they've become available throughout the years. And I found this one on eBay, and I just thought it was too cool to pass up. So anyway, that's my collection of Max West. And I hope you enjoyed the video of Max West and his time in baseball and the service. And I'll talk to you soon.